So thank you for joining us here at the Nottingham Buddhist Centre. Just going to run through sort of an introduction whilst we wait for any other people who are joining us today to join the live stream. So my name is Gareth. I live here at the centre in the community of men. There's about 5 of us who live above it. I don't actually know how long I've been practicing now. I've been coming to the centre for about 7 or 8 years, but I've been meditating for more like 10, I think. Started at university, sort of little meditation class in the union that was run by, taught initially by a woman from this from the Trivana movement, which this centre is a part of. So sort of, I didn't know that at the time, but my connection with this group goes back quite a long way. So this is obviously a drop-in meditation class. So that means that it will hopefully be appropriate for if you're completely new to meditation, but also if you're just wanting to reconnect with meditating or to just hear it led through, perhaps from slightly different perspective, then everyone is welcome. Today we're doing the Mindfulness of Breathing. So that's a meditation focused on the breath and on the sensations of breathing, and using awareness of those sensations to settle and calm the mind and lead us into a more concentrated state. So I'll say a bit more about the stages that we'll be going through, and some things, sort of general pointers about how to approach the meditation in a few moments. As I may have said before, we alternate between 2 different meditations. So if you are wanting to try the other one that we offer in this class, the Metta Bhavana, which is about cultivating loving kindness, that is next week. So please tune in then as well. So the mindfulness of breathing. So just to give an overview of the format of today's session, we'll do a quick body scan to start with. So that's just a guided meditation where we're moving gradually through the different parts of the body, bringing awareness to each of them, and starting to transition into a more sort of meditative awareness. So leaving behind day-to-day mind and coming into this more receptive, more mindful state. So so as we're going through the different parts of the body, the idea is just to start to have more of a sense of the sensations in your body as they are. So getting underneath or around some of the labels, or just the ideas that we have about what's going on, and just starting to see what's actually there, or feel what's actually there as directly as we can. And that forms a foundation for the mindfulness of breathing, which we then move on to. So that will be in 4 stages today. So in the first stage, we will be focusing on the breath, starting to get a sense of the sensations of the breath, what that actually feels like in this particular moment, getting underneath perhaps our ideas about it, or whatever other ideas happen to be floating through our minds at the time. And then we're going to be just starting to count after the out-breath, so breathing in, breathing out at your normal rate, and then just dropping in numbers each time after the out-breath. So breathing in, breathing out, counting 1, breathing in, breathing out, counting 2, all the way up to 10, and then starting again. And each time we reach 10, we just start from the beginning again. So the idea isn't so much that 10 isn't this goal that we have to feel that we've fallen short of. We have to feel that in some way we've failed if we don't reach that. The numbers are there, just there as a tool, really. They are like a sort of handrail, or a road sign or something like that. They're there partly to give our conceptual mind something to play with as we're starting to get more engrossed in the breath. Yeah, so most of the awareness is still very much with the breath, but if we notice that we've lost the number, we've counted the same number multiple times, that's a good indicator that we have lost our focus, and that's a trigger then to come back. So that's really what the numbers are there for. So that's the first stage. Second stage is very similar, but now we are counting before the in-breath. So counting 1, breathing in, breathing out. Counting 2, breathing in, breathing out. Counting 3, breathing in, breathing out. Counting one number at a time, all the way up to 10. And just see what the difference is between those two stages. In some ways, the difference might seem quite subtle. We are in many ways counting in the same sort of space between breaths. But just notice what difference it makes in this sort of change of emphasis between breathing before the in-breath and breathing after the out-breath. Or actually, the order we'll be doing it is counting after the out-breath and then counting before the in-breath. So that's the actual order. So that's the first two stages. Third stage, we are then letting go of the counting, but staying with the breath, and just allowing ourselves to get as engrossed, as absorbed, as fascinated, hopefully, with the breath as we can do. And starting to have a more general physical sense of the breath as well. Taking in as much of the body, as much of our physical, the kind of full breadth of the experience of the breath as we can do. So of course, distraction is going to be a part of our experience. We are going to know they're going to wander off. There's going to be all sorts of thoughts there, probably from before the meditation, that are just continuing to float around, and that's absolutely fine. Often we can be quite judgmental about distraction and feel that we are failing or not meditating by if thought crops up that takes us away from the breath. But meditation really is dealing with that distraction. We are working on our minds. If when we realise that this distraction has occurred, calmly, kindly come back to the object of meditation, back to the breath. You're really practicing if you're doing that. So in many ways, that moment of distraction is an opportunity. And you, from personal experience now, it almost doesn't matter whether we are feeling very positive mental states in the meditation itself or not. You still do get the benefit outside in your sort of general life, even if you are, even if it feels like you're not getting anywhere. Sometimes, it's just like one distraction after another. Well, it seems like that when you sit down. Actually, you may notice that elsewhere in life, the fruits are very much showing up, and people are reflecting that back to you, that you seem calmer or more composed, however they might phrase that. And those fruits come sort of regardless of what the actual, whether we feel good about what's going on at the time or not, if that makes sense. So I would encourage you to not be too critical about how much distraction takes place, and not be too worried about it either. So we've gone through 3 stages. The fourth and final stage, we are moving into focusing on the point in the body where we first feel the air enter and leave. So for most people, that's going to be tip of the nose, top lip, somewhere around there. The exact place doesn't particularly matter, as long as you choose somewhere and start to bring more and more of your attention to it. You may notice that it changes from day to day, and you may also notice that it changes over the course of the meditation. As long as we settle on somewhere and bring our awareness to it, in some ways you can almost sort of trust that point in the body to absorb your awareness. Just allowing it to soak it up like a sponge. I'd sort of use the words engrossing or fascination, I think, already. might well seem like a far cry from your experience of the breath today at times, but that can be the quality of our awareness of the breath. It can be a deeply enjoyable, fascinating part of our experience. This thing which is there all the time, which is less than every day or more than every day. I don't know. More familiar to us than really almost anything else, and yet it can still become fresh and new and fascinating if we open ourselves up to it and if we approach it with the right kind of intention and trust and just give it time as well. It's also a certain amount that it can't really be forced. We just have to reintroduce our minds to it and wait for our awareness to kind of hit it off with the breath, as it were. So underlining that possibility of pleasure or interest, I find really important to. If I come to the breath sort of expecting to be bored, I'm more likely to be. Put it that way. So that's the 4 stages, where there's a progression over those from a more general or gross, to put it that way, sort of awareness of the body and the breath, to a much more fine, subtle set of sensations or aspects of the experience of the breath that we're moving to. So that each stage is preparatory to the last one. Each one is a sort of step up, as it were. They are all equally important. And if you need to take up the numbers again because you feel like you've completely lost, that's absolutely fine. I would encourage you to stay with the structure as it's been laid out, particularly if you are new to the meditation. But if you've been practicing for some time, you may well have a sense of where you are and what you need. So by all means, explore taking up the numbers again and returning to them if that's helpful. A couple more sort of tips or just comments. So one thing, if you are feeling very racy and very scattered, is that you can, as well as counting after the breath or before the breath, you can also say in your own mind, breathing in, breathing out, just sort of labeling the breath as it's coming or going. That's another way of underlining what's going on, underscoring its importance to our mind, sort of giving that, again, that conceptual mind, the distracted monkey mind, more to play with, more to occupy itself with. And then gradually, if you feel that there's more continuity in your thoughts, then you can let that go and just have the numbers. And then if we move into the other stages, letting that go. So that's another tool that you can use if that's helpful. And just one sort of final thing, just to sort of bear in mind about doing this practice now in the midst of the sort of COVID crisis. Obviously I don't quite know who's watching this, who apart from Sylvia. I know I've got you. And I don't know what circumstances you're viewing this in, or if you're watching this at a later time. So I don't know whether you're coming to this from considerable difficulty or anxiety, and that can be, in some ways, when things are difficult, that makes practices like the mindfulness of breathing more clearly valuable. Like we deeply want to feel more at peace, but it also makes, in some ways, doing them more complicated if we know that there's a lot of suffering going on around us, or that there is much that we need to turn to. Taking space to engage with our minds, to disconnect, as it were, from those anxieties can also be quite hard. I know I'm finding that at times that it's difficult to put things down. It feels, particularly where they concern other people, it almost feels unkind to to sit there and focus on your breath when you know people in your life are going through difficult times. Having said that, I really believe that doing this is a metaphor act, is an act of loving kindness. That as much as this is a benefit to ourselves, being able to calm ourselves down, come to a more balanced, concentrated state of mind is one of the best things that we can do for the people around us and also for ourselves. So yeah, I would invite you to really take confidence in what you're doing, and that it is valuable and it is worthwhile. And it's okay actually to set down whatever it is that we're preoccupied with, and that when we take it up again at the end of the meditation, we will be in a better state to handle whatever it is. Yeah, so I hope that's helpful anyway. So if you're not already in your meditation posture, please set yourself up. So if that means a chair, stool, finding your posture. So for me, I'm obviously very fortunate to be able to do this in the lovely Nottingham Buddhist Centre shrine room. Actually, if you have a space even at home where you can define some kind of area for meditation, whether that means setting up a shrine or just going into a different room or turning your chair towards a window, something like that, it's really helpful to draw some sort of division between the space in which we meditate and the rest of our lives. Again, it sort of makes it easier to make that turn in our awareness if we've sort of ritually almost demarcated the space in which we're doing that. And that's also one of the benefits of having a particular meditation posture. When you get into it, you know that you're going to meditate. So I always feel when I'm sitting like this that there's a particular sort of kind of relaxed concentration it seems to encourage. So yeah, that means finding some kind of grounded, comfortable, rooted feeling to the ground, and for me the stool. And then also sort of delicate or relaxed quality of uprightness. So it's almost as if there's a thread passing through the spine, through the crown of the head. So I'm not forcing myself to sit upright. It's as if the spine is supporting itself to the extent that's possible for you. But just, there's a general quality of alertness which is balancing that comfort. And I've also got my hands supported, in this case by a blanket. And that might not seem so important to begin with, but if you're sitting for a longer time, then the arms can tend to sort of drag downwards, so it's helpful. You may find it helpful at least to support them in some way. So once you are in your posture, closing your eyes or resting them in an empty space in front of you, taking a moment to call to mind our reason for practicing, our reason for meditating, whatever it is, whether you're here out of curiosity, whether it's out of a desire to engage with your mind, your consciousness, whether this is part of a spiritual path, or whether we're just trying to find some space and peace in difficult times. Having a sense of that intention, even if it's just a feeling in the body, in the chest. Using that to reinforce the intention to stay with this practice as best we can. So we'll wander we will come back. As we move into the body scan, bringing our awareness to the physical sensations, how it feels to be in the body at this particular moment. Bringing our awareness to the head, the crown and the scalp. Coming gradually downwards into the eyebrows, the forehead, and the face. And then the neck and the shoulders. Softening wherever we find tension, allowing it to drain away into the ground. Leaving you clearer and lighter. And bringing awareness to the arms, and the upper arms and elbows, and the forearms and hands. Coming back to the chest and the upper back. And loosening, opening the chest. Taking in sensations in the heart area. Inside and outside. Just seeing what's going on. In the belly, the lower back. Softening the belly, allowing the breath to expand. And then the groin and the pelvis. And down into the legs, upper legs, thighs, knees, calves, ankles and feet. And coming back to a broad awareness of the whole body. So whatever we've encountered, whether that's unexpected tension, physical discomfort, just seeing if we can give it space, not trying to press it down, close ourselves off from it, but trusting that we are large enough to experience the difficult sensations and also to be aware of everything else. Even if it's just the empty expanses of neutral experience. All the parts of the body that aren't drawing attention to themselves. Starting to tune into the experience of the breath. how that manifests in the body, changing from moment to moment. Bringing that awareness of the body with us as we move into the mindfulness of breathing. So in the first stage, getting a sense of the breath, breathing in, breathing out as we normally would. And then when you're ready, just dropping in the first number after the out breath. Breathing out, counting 1. Breathing in, breathing out, counting 2. Carrying on like that all the way up to 10. And if we reach 10, we just start again. Most of the awareness with the breath. Just dropping in the numbers very gently. Whether we are saying the numbers in our minds or picturing the numerals with the mind's eye, they just appear very gently and then they flow away. Each time we wander off, calmly, kindly coming back, taking up the breath and the counting again. We can do that as many times as we need to. If it seems frustrating to have to keep facing destruction, know that we are setting up the conditions for it to be easier in the future, and that the attempt to engage with our minds will bear fruit, even if it's off the cushion. Can we find any interest in the breath? What's it like today at this particular moment? Moving into the second stage. So still breathing as we would normally. This time we're counting before the in-breath. Counting 1, breathing in, breathing out. Counting 2, breathing in, breathing out. Just carrying on like that, all the way up to 10, and then starting again. If we're still really struggling to stay with the breath, those extra labels are always there. Just thinking to ourselves, breathing in, breathing out, labeling which way the breath is going, and then dropping in the number. What's the difference between this stage and the previous one? How does it feel to us today? coming back to the breath as many times as we need to. Each time we return, gathering more and more of ourselves together. So in your own time, moving into the third stage, letting go of the counting, but staying with the breath. Really immersing ourselves in the feelings of the breath, soaking the mind in those sensations. And still coming back, still practicing patience with ourselves, returning to the breath as often as we have to. The body's still there as an anchor. Mindfulness of breathing is an embodied practice. We can always return to that foundation if we get lost. And the fourth and final stage, bringing more and more of our awareness to that point where we first really enter the body. So whether that's the nostrils, the top lip, seeing if we can allow that choice to be quite organic. Where is the first sensitive part of the body in that area? Where is asking for attention? Reintroducing our attention to the breath in that location as often as we have to. And not holding the breath too tight. Allowing it to grow and change as our awareness of it deepens. gradually letting go of the breath. Coming back to that broad awareness of the body that we started with. Taking note of any changes. Taking a few moments to sit without any intention. Meditation is almost over. It's not time for anything else just yet. We can just enjoy whatever spaciousness we've created. It's a chance just to savour being alive, without any particular expectation being added to that. And this is enough. Drawing the meditation to a close in your own time, becoming more aware of the room around you. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back into the room. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me. Hello to Sam as well. Glad you could join us. Yeah, so take care of yourselves. Yeah, if you have the opportunity to, please take a little bit of space just to yeah, gently return to the doings of the day. Yeah, if I can remind you, if it's possible for you to donate at this time, yeah, that's much needed by us. Obviously, the doors are closed to the public here, so that means that we are missing out on about £1,500 worth of income from renting rooms out and donations from yeah, people coming to classes. So there is quite a big hole in our finances at the moment. Yeah, so if you are able to support us to continue doing things like this, then yeah, please do so. Obviously, we are aware that everyone's going to be in different financial circumstances at the moment. Yeah, so please don't feel yeah, any particular pressure to give more than you can. But yeah, if you are able to respond generously to yeah, to what we are making available, that's much appreciated. You can find the link for the donation page on our website in the description of this video, I believe. Otherwise, thank you very much for coming. Thank you for sitting with me today, and yeah, I hope that the weekend treats you well, and that you are safe and happy wherever you happen to be. Yeah, take care.